are back, and welcome back, and you're back as well here for the Clearing the Crease podcast powered by BODOG.net. My name is James Cybulski. He is Mike Commodore. He is Andrew Raycroft. We got the puck stopper. We got the rugged rear guard who is what? Commie, you're in Augusta this week. Are you hanging and banging with all the rock stars? Are you getting any golf time, or is this just all party?
I got a big week. I'm freeloading again off some buddies from Dallas that I met at a charity event in Dallas earlier in the spring. No golf. I'm leaving the clubs at home. I don't need to be hacking it around there. I want to enjoy myself, so I'm going to leave my golf clubs at home. Flying in Tuesday. I think it's going to be Wednesday, par 3, maybe some range and practice round. Thursday, Friday, watch the golf. I think I'm going to try and get over a couple of the caddies of mine are buddies, so I've never been there, so I have no idea like the layout and everything. So I'm going to be kind of figuring it out, but I'm going to be getting some. I think I'm going to be getting some steps in and having a good time. Crush something. I'm a little concerned about the menu that I see online because on course they don't have any liquor. That could be bad news because I get gout if I drink beer. So that might be a major problem because I can't be. I mean, apparently the hills there, the TV does it no justice.
So I might have to find some edibles somewhere in Georgia.
You don't want the king. You don't want the King's disease climbing up and down those mountains in any way whatsoever.
Oh man, I'll just be peg-legging it around Augusta, just sweating in pain. So, but I'm excited. I've never been. Yeah,
we're meeting to amen.
It should be interesting. Right? There might be a little animosity there too. Although I think it's going to be. It's Augusta, so like nobody's going to be yelling at them, and I don't think anything's going to come of it. But it should be interesting, anyways.
It is a magical course. I covered a quasi covered the Masters in 2005, where I got down there. I was working for known as the Score back then, sports network, and much to my shock and much to the shock of my news director as well, when I called him shortly thereafter, they're like, "Here are your credentials for the practice round." I'm like, "Okay, what about for the tournament?" "You're not covered for those." So
oops.
Yeah,
Hooters it is.
Yeah, so where'd you go? Hooters?
One down the street. Yeah, I basically spent 4 days in a parking lot as Tiger had his in your life moment, like one of the most iconic shots in the history of the sport. I was in the same city. I just happened to be in the parking lot of the motherfucking golf tournament. So
they have you covering it, and they don't get you fucking tickets. God,
that's a conversation that requires a lot of stuff that you need to find when you're once on the ground. So, Razor, once again, here we are living our lives vicariously through Commie, man. You just what you've been calling NCAA hockey, university hockey how's the talent level these days?
Michigan off the charts. That Fantilli kid is the real deal. So whoever gets number 2, I know it's tank for Bedard, but whoever gets number 2 is going to be more than happy with that kid. He is confident. He's big. He's strong. He's gonna play next year. He's gonna be his step is easier as he's playing against 22, 23, 24-year-old men right now. He's legit. So we've got a Frozen Four starts up Thursday night. So I'm heading back to the mothership of ESPN, and we'll cover 4 really good hockey teams. Minnesota, Cooley, Matty Nyes, the Leafs, as everyone I know we're Canadian centric, so he's legit too. It'll be interesting to see if he jumps right into this mix or not. That's going to be the big story come Sunday morning, what these top end guys do, and are they going to be playoff guys for these top teams? Or are they going to season down in the minors for a couple weeks?
You're the second person in the last week, and I talked to a player personnel guy in the National Hockey League just a few days ago who said the exact same thing about Matty Nyes as you did. And he said Toronto is going to love this guy because he is everything that they need. He is big and physical. He's not going to score like Matthews or Marner, Nylander, but he is going to be physical. He is going to play hard, and he checks all the boxes. And yeah, I think your point about stepping into the playoffs, I think it's exactly what that Leafs team could certainly use. Obviously, they added a lot, those missing ingredients from years past, but I think Nyes is going to be somebody that Toronto faithful is going to fall in love with.
Who's the Razor? Who's the favorite going into the Frozen Four?
Minnesota. I'm leaning Minnesota.
And then Michigan?
Yeah, exactly. So Minnesota plays BU, and then Quinnipiac plays Michigan. So Quinnipiac is old, big, strong, tough. They play big defense. So that could be a tough matchup for Michigan, as talented as Luke Hughes and Fantilli and those guys are. On the other side, I think Minnesota's just got too much for BU. So,
shout out for Rod Brindamore's kids on Quinnipiac.
Skyler. Yes, sir. He scored a big goal in the last game. So he's the prototypical. They're all a bunch of Rod Brindamores on Quinnipiac. That's exactly what they are. They're a bunch of Rod Brindamores that are hard to play against and play the right way. And so it'll be interesting to see how they match up.
That should be fun. And nice. Hey, we got a fun show coming your way here over the next little bit. We've got Teddy Purcell, who played 12 years in the National Hockey League, good buddy of Commie's, and he's going to join us coming up in just a few minutes. Plus, hey, our first return guest, and whoever picked Curtis, the Super Leafs fan from Alberta. That's your answer. Curtis is going to check in as we are inching closer and closer to the Stanley Cup playoffs, and he's got a new mannequin apparently he wants to show off to us. We'll cross that bridge. Jesus. I know that sounds a little awkward. We'll get into it though as we roll out here. Just a reminder, everybody, the road to the Stanley Cup is open, and the clearest route to winning big is to play on BODOG.net. BODOG has you covered for all props, game lines, futures from now until the Cup final and beyond. Make your power play. Score big with BODOG. Check out the @BODOG.CA Twitter page for details on how you can get up to $500 of free cash to play with right now. BODOG.net. Thank you so much. You're proud sponsors of Clearing the Crease. So let's dive in here. The Bruins recently hit 60 wins on the season. And man, oh man, in this modern era, in this cap era, when we talk about parity, dare we say we're looking at the greatest regular season run in the history of the National Hockey League? Razor, you're in Beantown, so why don't we start with you here?
Well, if they get 63 wins, they're the greatest. And I think because the league is so hard and so difficult and there's so much travel and parity, etc., but they have to win the Cup. You're not considered the best team ever. And for one season, right? This isn't 70s dynasty Montreal Canadiens. That it's a little different, but single season, if you win the most games in the regular season, especially nowadays, and then you go on and win the Stanley Cup, you are in that. You cannot be taken out of the argument, out of the debate of being the best team, single season team of all time. It's pretty cut and dry. If you win everything, then you have to be in that. Especially when you have a Bergeron Hall of Famer automatically. Yep. And then you look at Marchand could chip away at that. Pasta could chip away at a Hall. You could end up with 3 or 4 guys. And but they've been incredible. This season's nuts. The way they've won, the way they've pulled victories out, and they do it a bunch of different ways. Obviously, I'm very up close and a little biased to it, but it's been wild just how good they are and how much they've embraced it. And now, like, a couple weeks ago, I didn't think they were going to get the record. It looked like they were really going to have to finish on a run. I thought they were going to rest. Patrice didn't play this weekend. He took the weekend off. Literally didn't play Pittsburgh, didn't play in St. Louis. They rattle off 2 victories again. Pasternak's up to 56 goals on the season. So they are definitely going to put themselves. I think they're going to get 3 out of 5 wins. They need to go 3-2 down the stretch here. I think they get that. And then if they do win the Cup, then yes, they have to be in that argument. Have to.
It is. Yeah. I think ultimately regular season success is great, but I mean, it's ultimately what you do in the playoffs that quantifies it, right? I mean, you look at that Montreal run and what they did in 1976, I think 8 regulation losses all season is filthy. But and look, the Habs, you're talking about one of the all-time great dynasties in the history of the sport. I just think, you're looking at basically half the amount of teams that you're looking at now in the National Hockey League, right? So, the increase of parity now, I mean, just how much harder it is. You look at the travel and going around here, there, and everywhere. It is really remarkable. I guess you could, if you want to find it comparable, Commie, you look at Tampa, 3-4 years ago, they had a magic number. They win 60 games and they get swept, like gone in 4 straight to Columbus, right? Like, remember that wasn't that long ago. But I mean, this feels different. This feels different this time around with Boston, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Razor took a lot of the words right out of my mouth. Like regular season, if they get to 63, I don't like comparing like I just don't think it's really fair, and I don't have enough knowledge to like be comparing, stuff that's happened in the last 30 years or 25 years in the NHL when I've like kind of paid attention and been around it to like back with the Canadians in the 70s and stuff like that. That's tough for me to do. So I'll just go on like, from, mid 90s on or whatever. Yeah. I mean, it's obviously been a very special season. The number one, I'm sure they would love to get to 63 wins. There's no doubt about it. That's an amazing accomplishment. But at the end of the day, what matters is winning. And the two teams with 62, like we just talked about, we just touched on one there, 62 Tampa 2019 swept in the first round. Now they've more than made up for it in the last 3 years, and then the other one's the Red Wings in 96, and they lost in the conference finals, I think, if I remember correctly. I got it right here.
And that 02 team, that 02 Detroit Red Wing team, they won. They won the cup. And that team, Shanahan, Fedorov, Hall, Lidstrom, Robitaille, Yzerman, Larionov, Chelios, Datsuk, Holmstrom. Like,
and they almost got swept. Hey, and they almost got swept in round one.
Yeah, Nashville, wasn't it?
No, it was Vancouver. West Coast Express. They go into Detroit, take the first two games.
Oh, is that the Dan Cloutier goal?
That is the one from center. Lidstrom from center, and
that's right.
The rest is history.
There you go.
Yeah, that was.
But it's been a hell of a year in Boston for sure. It's been fun to watch. Hopefully, they can keep it going.
Yes, don't give up any goals from center when you're. And they should be all right. No, it is remarkable, and just what they've done. I mean, you look at their goals for per game, their goals. I mean, second in goals for in the league, and then number one in goals against. I mean, it's hard not to think that just carries over based on the experience that this team has, Razor. I mean, as you mentioned, you're talking about Bergeron at the, captain of the ship, and everybody just seems to fall in line.
Yeah, you assume. The talk here is the first round you're going to get Florida or Pittsburgh or Islanders, I suppose, and they should. But the second round you're going to get Tampa or Toronto. So now you're into one. And then the rubber hits the road then. So it's a long ways. It is 16 wins, Commie. You know it more than anyone. It's a long ways to go still.
Commie, to jump in on that, to come in on that, you touched on the Lightning there, Razor, and I guess let me bring this up here. And I want to get into this, Curtis from Alberta, as well, the crazy Leaf fan. But are the Lightning finally ripe for the picking, or are they simply ramping up? Because here we are looking at a team that seemed to be scuffling for a while, and then all of a sudden, Razor, since that game that just screamed playoff vibe about a week and a half ago with the Bruins and the Lightning, that Boston comes away with a 2-1 win. The Lightning are 3-0 since, as we record this, having outscored the opposition 14-1. They've given up one freaking goal in the last 3 games and have wiped everybody out. It's almost like the Tampa switch has gone, but there's a lot of people that think that this team is ripe for the picking this year. Is this the time for the Leafs to finally catch Tampa? Are they finally ripe for the picking, or are they just simply ramping up here, Commie?
It's actually, at least from my perspective, how much because of teams like Boston and Toronto and Carolina and stuff like that, like the two teams that were in the finals last year, Tampa Bay and Colorado. I mean, I kind of get more of the Western Conference stuff. It's like, man, I haven't really heard a whole lot about these teams. It's like nobody really mentions Colorado. I haven't heard a ton about Tampa. And it's like, I mean, I think Colorado's got a great chance coming out of the West, but with Tampa, I mean, you can't count those guys out. I do think from the outside looking in, I mean, they have played now I know there have been guys missing times during the regular season and stuff, but they have played a shitload of hockey over the last 3 years. So my short answer would be, I got to think they are, but I don't count them out. But I would think you get home ice advantage, which they got to lock up or whatever. Toronto does, but I would think it ain't going to be easy. But I would think now's the time.
Razor,
I get that sense too, and this is the biggest but, right? Like these guys have the biggest but, and it. So I did. It's interesting. The Bruins game, right? The afternoon game. There was 3 fights. Maroon, Hathaway. They go at it right off the draw. I might have heard randomly that there was some guys that were out till 2 a.m. in the city on the Tampa Bay Lightning for the afternoon game. I'm not so sure they're taking things too seriously. And then April comes and they rattle 3 off, 14-1. that gives me the sense that they actually do believe they can flip the switch a little bit. And they do feel like the confidence that group must have. And it doesn't always pay off, but they have to be going into game one thinking we're going to win this first game in Toronto and people are going to have their hair lit on fire. And we're going to go. I don't think they're as good on the back end. They've lost. You win and you lose guys on the back end. But when you have Hedman, you have Vasilevsky, it'll be heartbreaking in Toronto.
And that's the thing, as much as people have talked about, cracks in the empire here, look at what those guys, like the core, the infrastructure that is the Tampa Bay Lightning. Look at what they've done this year. Kucherov's over 100 points. Ho-hum, nothing to see here. You've got Braden Point, who might tiptoe to 50 goals.
50, yeah.
Right? Nobody's talked about it. He's like right there knocking at the door of 50 goals this season. There's another 30-goal season for Steven Stamkos, given what everything that guy's body has been through. And yet, just another 30-goal season for Stammer, right? What a remarkable career. Vasilevsky's close to a .920 save percentage. Sergachev's been remarkable on the back end. And Victor Hedman's just been Victor freaking Hedman. And we're sitting there going, this is the time. I don't see it. I do not see it. I am a big believer of the old theory that Ric Flair likes to apply. To be the man, you got to beat the man. And until they are beaten, Tampa in the East, they are the men.
I can't argue with that. I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
There's going to be a mental, like we talk about between the ears for the Leafs. Are you kidding me?
Oh, if they went in, go into Toronto
in a 7-game series, how do they lose? How does Tampa fall in a 7-game series in round one?
They go into Tampa and win that go into Toronto if that's how it works out. Tampa goes in and wins that first game. Oh boy. Oh
right?
boy.
Right?
And God forbid they do it in like dominating fashion.
Right?
Oh boy.
Oh, man.
Like which one of those goalies do you see?
Who's playing net for Toronto, right?
Which
like
one of those guys are going to win?
Curtis knows.
Yeah.
Curtis has got the game
making the calls.
Speaking of Curtis, okay, and keeping it kind of Leaf themes here for a second. The other night, Matt Murray gets hurt. Shocking. Matt Murray gets hurt. Where have we heard this before? And it turned out that the e-bug for this Detroit-Toronto game was Curtis Joseph. 55-year-old Curtis Joseph. I was talking to a buddy who's a former goalie, Razor, and he said to me he hates how the NHL, uses this emergency backup scenario. He said he thinks it's a mockery of the league. He thinks it's disrespectful for guys who've played. Obviously, there's some wonderful stories. There's, you can make movies about certain guys' instances and the flair for the dramatic, but give me a sense as a guy who worked his ass off to get to that point. Does the e-bug cheapen everything you've done? Do you like the protocol that the NHL has in place? Like, give me your sense.
Well, I don't think it cheapens it. I think everyone's aware that, the guy in Toronto, the Zamboni driver, he made some saves. But the reality, you watch it and you know that he actually, couldn't do that the next night or any other night. Like that doesn't work. So I don't think it cheapens it. I don't feel like what I did is easy. I know it wasn't, and I think most people really do get that. What I think's going to happen, what I could see happening here over the next couple of years, because it's moved real quick. Like, again, I played 70 games in Toronto. I didn't take a pregame skate off. I didn't take a practice off. There was no other goalies. Now you see a lot of these e-bugs coming in for practice. So I can see the baseball model of the bullpen catcher having a job where you get somebody, you pay him 80 grand a year, you pay him 100 grand a year, travels with the team, and he becomes somewhat of a semi-pro goalie. I could see that positioning filling. I've got an e-bug story, and I'll tell you quickly because this is perfect for this. I was in studio in the Garden on the 5th floor working the game 3 years ago. Tuukka's playing. Jarl Halak is on the bench. Tuukka gets knocked out midway through the first period. No e-bug in the building. So they called me in the booth. Where's your equipment? I'm like, it is buried in my house. They like, you're not finding this. Well, we're sending an intern out to your house. How far are you? I'm like, well, it's a snowstorm, blizzard. I'm like, well, I'm usually like 15, 20 minutes, but right now, okay, we're sending an intern. He's getting in the Uber now. Give us the address. My wife is out in the city that night. So my in-laws are watching the kids. I call like, hey, this is happening. Someone knocks on my door. My father-in-law is in my basement rummaging, looking for equipment with this random intern on a Saturday night snowstorm in Boston to find my gear. I am sweating because I don't really know the protocol. I don't know if I have to go down. Like, I don't want to go in the room and get dressed with the guys. They're going to make fun of me. They're going to give me a hard, like, I didn't want nothing to do with that. But literally the whole second period, I'm sweating bullets. Every shot, every play that goes into the net, anywhere near Yarrow Halak, I'm shitting myself. And got through like 10 minutes left in the third. I'm like, okay, nothing's going to happen now. I'm good. I'm not going to have to do it. But they left my gear in the garden for the rest of like 2 years later until COVID happened. My gear was locked in a locker down in the garden just in case again. And now
it's not like Halak's had a history, right?
Like, yeah, take me off the list. I'm off the list. I'm not on the list anymore. I'm not allowed to play. So
how did this story take so long to find out? Right?
I know, yeah. I had no idea this happened. That's incredible.
That's
you had to be shitting your pants.
Would you have passed a drug test?
It was man. You just started smashing beers up there.
Yeah, that's it. I was just hammering tequila sodas up there.
Hey, listen, we are just warming up here on the Clearing the Crease podcast. He's Commie, he's Razor, I'm Cybulski. Teddy Purcell is going to join us, former Tampa Bay Lightning, former Edmonton Oiler, and now a pro scout with the Montreal Canadiens. He'll join us next here on the Clearing the Crease podcast, powered by BODOG.net. The Clearing the Crease podcast, powered by BODOG.net, continues. He's Razor, he's Commie, I'm Cybulski, and Mike, why don't you tee up who we have as our special guest this week? Here's a man who has traveled and played with a lot of rock stars along the way.
There's no doubt about that. It's nice of him to join us. I actually even wore a shirt for you, Teddy. See this thing?
Nice little puppet on there.
Yeah. Straight out of Newfoundland. My buddy Teddy Purcell. Teddy and I played together in Tampa a little bit. We even roomed together for a little while. Spent some time in LA. He spent some time in Edmonton. He spent some time in Florida, and then obviously Tampa. But yeah, Teddy, thanks for joining us. What the hell are you up to?
Not much, boys. Thanks for having me. I've been seeing all the podcast stuff on Instagram. It was nice of you guys. You haven't sent me any Clearing the Crease or t-shirts or swag or anything. So it was classy, you guys.
We don't have any either.
We're waiting for them too.
You'll be the first to get some.
You'll be the first one. We don't have shit.
No, Curtis from Alberta will get it first, and then we'll get it.
That's true.
Okay, perfect.
That's true.
So, okay, Teddy, break the ice for us here. Give us your best Commie golf story, or if not, if you want to just go straight to in one. Then
best Commie golf story. Fuck, we've been everywhere. Ireland, Arizona, Florida, here, LA. Actually, the funny one was it's a good story and it's pretty quick. I know sometimes me and Commie get talking, our stories get a little long-winded, but they are funny. But so is when Commie's buddies with Max Homa. So he was out. He won the Genesis a couple of years ago. So I wasn't in the country club that I'm in yet, so we didn't have really anywhere to go. I was being America's guest. Commie was my guest. We needed people to host two of us all over LA. So Homa just won at Riviera at the Genesis. Commie's buddies with him. Commie texts him like, "Hey Max, can you get us on Riviera? Really hard track to get on. Awesome course." Max is like, "Sorry man, can't do anything." So anyways, 5 minutes later, me and Commie text some more people. We were on Bel Air, Riviera, LACC, and Sherwood. And Commie texts Max back like, "Hey man, anytime you need anything in LA, let me know. I'll get you a tee time in 2 minutes."
Then Teddy and I went and played. We went and played Riviera, so we go have a good time or whatever. We basically had the golf course to ourselves. And I'm like, man, I got to give Max something. So I was calling him the King of Riviera after he won that tournament, right? The Genesis, Tigers tournament, one of them. And so I went into the pro shop and I bought a black visor for Max because he's a member at Whisper Rock where I'm at here in Arizona also. And then I signed it. The new King of Riviera signed it, put my number on there and hung it in his locker. He never wore it, but I'm sure it went straight to the garbage. But anyways, but yeah, we're actually going. We're going to do that again next week. Are we still on for next weekend, Teddy, or what?
Yeah, you gonna come in?
Am I invited?
Yeah, you're always invited.
Yeah, you just tell me when to fly in. I'll be there a day early.
That's dangerous when Commie says that too, boys, because when he said he lived with me in Tampa, he was living in the hotel from Detroit. I was single. I had a condo right across from the rink, a 2-bedroom, had a car. I was like, hey, man, get out of the hotel. We're not making the playoffs. Let's just have fun. The season's over in like 5 weeks. Fast forward 9 months later, we had a lockout. Commie took over my condo. He was still living with me 9 months later. Sometimes I'd go in the morning to go to work out because I was still trying to play. I was still under contract. He knew he was kind of done.
I knew I was done.
And I'd go to get my car in the morning to go work out. Car's gone. I'm like, I'd come back after. I'm like, where were you? He was like, what do you mean? It's my house now. It's my car. I was out fucking around. So I had to bike to the gym. I was like, that's awesome. What a good.
Wow, you get a little extra exercise. It was awesome too. I'd never driven a Porsche before. It was great. I was living.
I feel like Razor and I have felt like Commie's been a homeless. You know, he would count as a homeless guy for the better part of the last 10 years, just couch surfing from buddy to buddy's place. Right?
He's the richest
have a golf tournament. Have a golf
for
course.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's a good host. He had me out in Phoenix. We were out there. It wasn't for the Waste Management. I saw you there. I was out for a golf tournament, we were just out golfing.
Yeah.
Maybe before Christmas. And he set me up at his Airbnb, staying at the dog pound. It was great. Carted me around, took me out of his course.
Yeah, we do have a good time. I do have a spot, you know, we were talking about a little bit earlier, Tampa Bay. I do have a soft spot for Tampa, and I'm going to sing these guys' praises a little bit. And the first time that I actually hung out with Teddy. So long story short, I get traded to Tampa for literally nothing. And I'm going to play for a little bit. If we stay kind of in the playoff hunt, realistically, I'll keep playing. If not, I'm done. And I knew it was going to be done. I'm going to Russia or back to the American League, whatever. So I get in there playing a few games. We won a couple in a row or whatever. And, you know, these guys most of them are younger than me or whatever, but everybody's very nice. Teddy and Ryan Malone and Steve Stamkos, all these guys. And so after one of the games, we had a couple of days off. And so I don't really know how these guys, you know, roll quite yet. You know, I'm at the Embassy Suites, you know, maybe have a drink at the free happy hour at Embassy Suites, but I'm trying to tone it down too. But Teddy's like, no, come over. We got this little party going on or whatever over at my condo. We ended up doing. So I won't get into all the details, but I ended up going over there and hanging out with Ryan Malone, who's a great dude, but you have
me,
to.
You and Bugsy, yeah.
Oh, what a crew.
Oh my God.
That is a party.
Oh my God. And I hadn't really been around Ryan. Well, I learned real fast that Ryan, every time I turned around, was like, here, Mike, here you go. It was a shot of whiskey. I'm like, okay. And then next thing you know, an hour later, we're tying our ties. It was after a game because we had suits on. Yeah. Tying our legs together, a 3-legged race. I put my head through the TV. I could not get it right.
Yeah,
anyway,
there was a couple of girls over there. Commie ate the bullet. His girl was about a little bit bigger than him. So him and her
she was in
she
was in my weight class.
Brand new TV hanging on the wall. I'm surprised it didn't go down or it didn't crack.
Oh man,
It was a 3-legged race, kind of a race to the house, outside to the slider, around the furniture outside, back into the kitchen. It was a hazard. It was a danger zone. Commie went down hard.
Oh, I mean, there were some other factors at play that I hadn't done in a long time. I'm not sure how much I should say. And in my head, I'm looking around and I'm like, these guys are flying around with this 3-legged thing and they're out on the patio and it was dark and I couldn't see anything. I'm like, where are these? I've never been here before. I'm like, where the hell did everybody? Then all of a sudden they appear over here. And anyways, it didn't even matter because me and my heavyweight partner did, I think, literally half a step and my head went right into the fucking TV. Anyways, I did have a good time in Tampa. Yeah, Tampa was fun. Oh. Anyways, get back to present day. What are you doing, Teddy? Run us through where do you want to take Teddy? You want to take Teddy Montreal here? What he's doing now?
Well,
Teddy?
I'll tell you what, Teddy, how about this? I mean, from your standpoint, you know, you've just started as a pro scout with the Montreal Canadiens, and I'm sure everybody hot stoves amongst their teammates when you're in a room and you pass judgment on people, but now having to do it professionally, having to decide who's good, who's not. What's that been like to do that professionally now, to actually be a judgmental mofo essentially in the press box?
It's tough because you know, a lot of the scouts and stuff, they watch hockey and all the time. And you know, I've learned it even when I was a healthy scratch or injured. You watch up in the press box and it looks really fucking easy from up there.
Way easier, right?
Oh, it looks easy, and then everyone sucks. I'm like, guys, it's actually hard down there. Right. I was like, I can only imagine what you guys were saying about me when I was playing.
Oh,
So that part is different. I actually root for more guys than I shit on. I don't shit on anyone, but if they want an opinion, you obviously like more certain players more than others. I think it's a pretty unique situation. It was Kent Hughes, who's the general manager. He was my agent for, I don't know, 12 or 13 years. So I'm comfortable there. If I didn't know the GM, I don't think it'd be a good fit for me. But I really like going to the meetings and learning what him and Jeff Gordon are doing and kind of seeing their vision and how patient they are. So it's been different. And, listen, I watch hockey anyways, and now to get paid for it and have a little opinion. I know I'm really low on the totem pole, even though I think I'm the GM, and sometimes I tell Kent I'm smarter than him. But no, it's fun. It's something I've always liked, and it's really all I know. So it's been a good transition so far.
Do you like the game now? Do you like where the NHL is? The skill, the speed, the lack of physicality?
I like some parts of it. Like, I hate saying when I played like 15 years ago, but it is true. Like, there was always, when I first came in, there was like 5 or 6 guys that were like 36-40 on each team. Those guys are done now. All these guys are into video games and they're not going out on the road and they're a bunch of nerds. I don't like that. The skill is awesome. I mean, these kids have YouTube, and now they're watching Connor McDavid since they're 7 years old, and now they're coming up, or Sidney Crosby, whatever it is. Now these kids, the stuff they can do with their puck skills is amazing. The speed is, I mean, you look at hockey now and you're like, wow, my groins and back would be done in 2 shifts. But I do think because it's so fast and stuff, and they think, you can't teach speed, which you can't. So they think that someone's fast, or let's put them in. We can teach hockey IQ. I think the IQ has gone down a little bit, and that's why some of the top players are putting up 150 points now, playing against these dum-dums all the time. So
great point.
It's good for the game. So there is advantages.
Teddy, you think the hockey IQ has gone down?
I think it has gone down a little bit. Like, I think my boy Ray Whitney would say that too. Don't you think, Commie? That how many crafty little veterans are there like him, slow and small, and he would just weasel his way into everything?
Yeah, 100%. I literally think Ray, when I was crashing on another couch over at his place 2 weeks ago, I'm pretty sure he basically said exactly that.
Yeah, and even an older defenseman when he first came up in LA, like Sean O'Donnell, who works for the Kings.
Yeah.
He couldn't move very well. You play with him in Boston, Razor?
Yeah, I had Odie. What a perfect example.
Exactly. Like, he's an older guy, couldn't skate, but just smart. Like, it was hard to beat one-on-one, won Stanley Cups, great on the PK, good in the locker room, fought if he had to. Like, how many defense are like that now? Like, this 5th and 6th, 7th defenseman on most teams now they're not the sharpest tools in the shed. I mean, Commie, me and you would beat them in IQ tests, I think.
I think so. I think we're pretty smart, personally. But yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Put it off the glass and out, or find your partner, find me in the middle, come low and slow for you. And give it to Stammer Murray. We got an apple. And
there you go.
In about 2 hours. Perfect.
You get the assist. I'll just take the plus. The plus is fine for me.
It's like the old Brian Kilray logic in terms of, as a defender, you can put it off the glass and out, or you can fuck off. Those are the options you were given as a young defender, right?
I never heard that before. That's funny. No, but it is. I hate getting in arguments. I'm not an argumentative guy. I don't care either way, but everyone has an opinion, and that's what I think. But going back to saying I don't shit on people, I was just shitting on the new game for a couple minutes. But the speed is awesome. The skill is awesome. It seems like the game's in a good spot. The salary cap's going up. Everyone's getting more money, and hey, good for them.
Take us, you mentioned his name a little bit, and take us to your time in beautiful Edmonton, Alberta. You played with Connor a little bit. I don't know, just from the, you and I have talked about it maybe a little bit, but I don't think that much. I met him one time when I met you at the bar there in Edmonton. Oh, Jesus.
We won't tell that story.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't tell that story, but I definitely had a good time down in Edmonton. Yeah, like, you don't really get much out of him. It's like that with a lot of guys in hockey in general, and I guess maybe more, especially with Connor, because I think everybody would agree he's the best player in the league. He doesn't really give you much when you talk to him, but I don't know, just your general impressions on Connor from playing with him, what he's like in the room.
He's awesome. I actually got to know him a little bit before, because I was following Stammer and Smitty and BJ Crombie and all those guys up at Gary Roberts in the summer. So I'd live in Toronto when I was with Tampa, and Connor was training there even before he got drafted. So I got to know him a little bit, and he's reserved and quiet, and he's like pretty shy. So I don't think he's comfortable, doing all the media and like even at the Juno Awards, like he looked awkward doing that. His style was so bad. It's a funny story. He came in, he still had his like Barry Colts or Erie Otters, like the Reebok free bags were coming on. And I learned this in Tampa. I did the same thing in Tampa. I had a shitty bag, and the guys were like, "You got to go out and get some kind of nice duffel bag. You're in the NHL. You're single. Like, come on." So I was like, "All right." So I went out and did it. So I taught Connor that. I'm like, "Dude, you're face of the NHL now. Like, you've only played 2 games. You're the best player already. You can't be having a Reebok Erie Otters bag." And I'm like, "You get a watch." He had like some Timex in the glow watch on. I'm like, "We got to go get you a watch." So we came down to LA. And he didn't. I don't think he wanted his dad to know, so he didn't want to put it on his card. He didn't have checks yet, so I had to buy his first watch for him, and he had to pay me back when we got to Edmonton when he got his next paycheck. It was hilarious.
You bought it. You put it on your credit card because he didn't want his dad to know that he bought a watch.
Something like, yeah, it was like 5 or 7 grand or something. And it was actually funny. Then it came full circle. So I was making fun of him, and he did it. And he got his watch and got his duffel bag, starting to look a little better, but still a little questionable. And then they did an article of GQ, and they called me like they called me like Tim Purcell in the article or something. I'll have to dig it up, or like Ed Purcell or something. I mean, my name is Edward, but I don't go by Ed. Obviously, the article wasn't about me, but Connor told a story in GQ, and they totally fucked my name up. It was hilarious.
But Connor's kind of what you kind of described a couple minutes ago as a hockey nerd, right? I remember talking to him when he had just been granted exceptional player status.
Mm-hmm.
And he came into studio with his dad, and he was just, he basically, it's like, "What do you like to do other than hockey?" "Nothing. I just like hockey." It's like,
do you
like movies? "No, I like hockey." "Do you like video games?" "No, I like hockey." It was just eat, sleep, poop, hockey.
That's all he did. And he lived the first year he lived with Taylor Hall and Luke Gazdick, and I lived down the street from him. So we'd always have, we weren't very good then, so we didn't want to go out in Edmonton a lot because we were just getting abused.
Get roasted.
I remember I did it wrong too. I went from LA to Tampa, and I was always a middle of the road guy. No one knew or cared. Then I go to Edmonton. I remember I was at IGA, and I'm buying a steak that's not even a butcher's shop. There's like steaks wrapped in saran wrap, and I was like 64 ounces for like $7. I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be delicious." and a lady was next to me. She's like my mom's age, and she's like, "Why didn't you shoot last night in the power play, Ted?" I'm like, "Oh God." Like the first time I got noticed in 8 years playing in the NHL, my first 8 years didn't get noticed, get traded there buying a steak at IGA. And I'm like, "All right, we're not eating. I'm not going out to eat anymore."
You got some
we'd always have
giving
dinner
it
parties.
to you.
Yeah, giving it to me. So we'd always have, Luke Gazdick was actually a good cook, and we used to, there was nothing else to do. So we'd cook all the time, and we just always watched hockey, and Connor knew what way everyone shot, everyone's stats. He kind of studied the other teams of how they defended, even though he doesn't need to. He can just get by anyone and do whatever he wanted when he wants. Yeah. But he's a student of the game. He's a really good kid. He's smart. He's got his shit together. He's super generous. So he's got to figure it out. He's doing it the right way.
Fair enough. You have those guys come over every once in a while too, don't you? Teddy's in Hermosa Beach.
Yeah, they all came down last year, twice actually. Played a little volleyball to get away from the distraction, how to just get their mind off of this. It was right before they played the Kings in the playoffs, and they came down in between playoff days too, just to get some sun and relax. And Connor was walking around the beach, and no one knew who he was. I think they kind of liked that stuff. Yeah, him and Leon and Tyson Barrie was there. That was when Smitty was playing too. He came over. CC. Yeah, they got a good group there. I hope they do well this year.
Yeah. I always remember the LA thing too. Remember we were on that golf trip today? I'd never obviously I didn't, this wasn't a concern for me, but remember we were on that golf trip there in LA and Crosby came? You were on that one, weren't you?
Oh yeah, that was right before he went up to Pebble and stuff, right? With Danny and Pork.
Was it Pebble? It was either Pebble or Bandon.
Yeah, I think it was Pebble because we played Riv with Sid.
Oh, yeah. It was Pebble for sure because we ended up in San Fran. Yeah. But I always thought because I was like, why would Crosby come down here? And then when I talked to him about it, because he has the same thing as McDavid. You go home, everybody knows who you are. You can't get away from it a little bit. So
yeah, I didn't even think of that for hockey guys. And I remember talking to Sid on that trip too. I said, "Why do you come to Santa Monica? Like, what's the connection?" And like super sincere and genuine, like Commie, everyone knows him. He's a humble guy, doesn't talk about himself. He goes, I don't know. I've never been to a grocery store and I've never been to movies, and like I get to do that. And like to sit back and think like, wow, you don't even think about that as a hockey player, you know, for him to try to come out here and just be normal. It kind of took me back a little bit. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I guess it sucks to be that good. I'm just saying, that because I'm jealous.
It's not stake at IGA, right, Teddy?
$12 million.
That's right. Yeah. Should tell Connor there's good meat at IGA up
there. Speaking of the West, Teddy, just because you're based in Southern California, who do you like? Like, who's impressed you in the West? Like, who do you like as we kind of get ramped
Well,
up?
I kind of do that region of scouting. So I watch more hockey this year than I have before. I still watch games, but now you watch a little bit closer, you know, and you kind of keep track on your teams. Seattle surprised me a lot for how bad they were last year. Their goaltending, like surprise goaltending, like Martin Jones is coming back and having a good year. They're getting a lot of depth scoring throughout their lineup. The Kings got off to a rough start, but they've been a hell of a team since, you know, November, December, probably. And with those two guys in Edmonton, Connor and Leon, who knows, they can change the playoff series in a hurry. In Vegas now too. I know Quickie didn't have a good start here in LA and kind of an ugly way to get traded, but he's been pretty good there. And even that Thompson kid who made the All-Star game, and a lot of people were probably saying, you know, Vegas are a good team, but they don't really trust the goaltending heading into the season. He's proved everyone wrong too. So I don't really, obviously Colorado with that division, but in the Pacific, you know, I think LA, Seattle, and Vegas and Edmonton. I mean, I think it's going to be probably going to come down to goaltending, or if Connor and Leon can take over. But every year I get asked that question. I haven't hit one yet. So
that's why you threw 4 of them out there this time.
Exactly. Yeah.
You got them all covered.
The opposite.
I'm a genius.
I'm going with the Flames. Teddy likes everybody else. I'll take Calgary.
Perfect.
Or Winnipeg.
What about what you've seen from your former teammates? Like you spent some of those formative years with Stamkos and Hedman to kind of see what they've obviously created over the last few years. But did you always see that dog in those guys? I mean, those guys were just so good.
Yeah, I did. It was only a matter of time. It's like Connor and Edmonton. Everyone's like, you know, he's got to win in the playoff. He's going to get his cup. He's too good not to. The same thing with Stammer and Hedman and Kucherov. Then, you know, even Andre Palat, Killorn, Tyler Johnson was a big part of the team for a couple of years. Braden Point, obviously, coming out of second round. I'm like, how don't 30 teams get fired for not taking him in the first round? Kucherov, too, was second or third rounder. And then you get Vasilevsky, right? And everyone thought Stevie Eisman was crazy when Bish was in his prime. They drafted this Vasilevsky guy first round. Like, what's he doing? And then now he's the best goalie in the world, too. We're like, all right, he's on to something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just the culture they have there. Everyone likes playing there. They had to learn the hard way too, you know, when they set that record in the regular season and got swept by Columbus. And then before that, they lost to Chicago, like a veteran team in the finals. So it was only a matter of time for those guys. It was actually funny. They brought us back. The owner there is awesome, Jeff Bennick. They just did like a Tampa Bay alumni, like Hall of Fame thing. So it was the first time they did it, 30-year anniversary. It was Phil Esposito, Marty, and Vinny got inducted into the Hall of Fame. So they brought us all back, having cocktails all weekend. And like, there was this dinner on the arena floor, and they brought like, I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000 fans in. So after the meal, the fans would come in. It was kind of like we were in a fishbowl. It was a little weird. And everyone was getting, now we're drinking. We were drinking all day anyways. And then someone with a headset comes on, was like, Teddy, you got to go up and speak. And I thought they were joking. I'm like, yeah, I'll be right up. And they're like, no, you got to go. I was like, oh shit. So I had a good buzz going. It was me, Ben Bishop, and Ryan Callahan. They brought us up there on the stage. But before they did it, it was like kind of the different eras. The one was like the Phil Esposito era when they first started. And then it was like the 2004 era when they won the cup. And then they called this one the Vinnick era. So they did, I'm not even kidding, guys. It was like a 5 to 7 minute video of like all the highlights, the draft picks. Like, it was well done. It was professional. There wasn't fucking 1 second of me, Bish, or Callie in the clips. So I'm watching for 7. I was a little nervous at first. So I'm like, what am I going to say here? And I was like, 2 minutes. I'm like, all right, I scored 2 goals in one shift in the playoffs. That's probably going to be up there, right? They're like, no.
Nope. So we keep watching. Now it's 7 minutes. All right. I'm just going to start roasting people.
So finally the video's done. Everyone's clapping. The boys, I got the cup. I'm like, oh, this is great. To like, and I was the first guy there. They're like, Teddy, what comes to your mind when you see that? And I said, jealousy. And then I was like, you guys should thank us as honorary members of the Lightning for getting rid of all three of us. Because as soon as three of us were gassed, you guys went to 3 finals in a row. You guys are a dynasty. It was kind of, it was embarrassing, but I was like, you just got to make fun of ourselves now.
Oh, that's funny.
But
don't sell yourself short, Teddy. You were a real good player everywhere, but you were a fucking good player.
I did say that too, and it was Vinny's night.
You should have said that. What the fuck?
I said it about Vinny.
Why did not have one of your goals on there or something?
They gave me
not even a pass. That was your bread and butter.
Nothing. I didn't see myself once. And then so at
like
the
that's
end,
intentional. Does somebody not like you there?
Maybe. But then I said,
we want you to speak. We want you to speak on this 7-minute testimonial video. That's amazing.
Yeah. And so
you're not included on.
Yeah. So I said to Vinny, I said, hey, well, I had 17 points in 18 games and I was making league minimum. You were making 10 and I played better than you. And Vinny's dad was dying laughing after. He was like, that was so funny, Teddy. I was like, yeah, I got him, didn't I? I thought he was gonna come charge the stage, but he was a good sport about it.
Oh, that's funny.
Teddy, thanks so much for doing this, man. I appreciate this. I mean, Commie's awesome. Raved and brought up stories about you in the past. And I got to say, I mean, everybody from Newfoundland, there is just a good vibe from everybody. I spent a week in St. John's, and man, everybody was just fantastic.
Except for Dan Cleary. Those guys are fucking animals out there.
Exactly. The one asterisk.
Everybody except Cleary.
Yeah, we got a lot of fun people back there. Growing up, there wasn't a lot to do, and the weather wasn't always in our favor, so we had made fun of each other and had some cocktails and didn't take life too seriously, and pretty fun place to grow up.
You want to give us a cup prediction?
Can I give you 4?
Sure, why not?
Do whatever you want on this podcast, Eddie.
I mean, I'm going to go with the Bruins, Razor's old team. It's time for his alumni to win, like me and Commie's alumni have been crushing it lately.
Oh, there'll be a 7-minute video without me in that too.
We'll be doing the same fucking thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Boston. What about you? Who do you guys got? You guys already said it already this year, or no? Or are you changing all the time?
Commie's changing.
Our first episode, what we have? Carolina and Calgary, right, Commie?
We had the Commie Cup. Yeah, we had Carolina and Calgary in the final. So Calgary's probably fucked, but yeah. I kind of like, well, it's hard to not go with an East team, but I'll just for the West. We were talking a little bit earlier. I'm like, it's like Colorado's been kind of forgotten a little bit. So it seems like, anyways. So, but yeah, it's hard to pick against Boston.
I like Dallas in the West. I like Dallas to come out of the West. And you know what? I'm gonna go with redundancy, and I'm gonna say Tampa finds a way again.
Tampa, yeah, you can't count them out.
No, you can't. You can't.
Tampa, Dallas. There you go.
You guys live in Toronto?
No, nobody in Toronto.
I'm in Boston.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Toronto's going to explode if they lose at Tampa again.
Ever.
Teddy, for our Canucks fans on the West Coast, I'm based in Vancouver, but you focus on the Pacific. Give me an assessment of what you've seen from Vancouver with a lot of drama to start the season, and they seem to have kind of settled into a groove with not a lot to play for now. But...
There is. I should have explained it better. I do the Pacific in the United States, but I'd have to watch Van because they play a lot of Vancouver. But I know I don't know Boudreau, never played with him. That was just as a person. Like, put the hockey aside, you don't really need to treat a human being like that. Mm-hmm. I had Tocchet in Tampa actually. He's a passionate guy. He's a player's coach. Players will play hard for him, and it seems like they've been playing a little bit better. Now on the other side of that, I've been on that coin or that side of the game too. When the season's already kind of over, guys are just kind of, there's less pressure. They're just out playing. They're having more fun. They're more loose. And,
you're loose.
Yeah. You win 8 out of 10, but who cares? You've been out since Halloween.
Right. You're just getting a work draft pick.
Yeah. I know. So, I don't know what's going to happen there. They probably got a lot of work to do. And everyone's giving JT Miller so much shit too. Like, he's a good player. He plays hard. He's point a game guy. He'll fight. He hits. And they just want him out of town too. So who knows what's going to happen? That GM's got a lot of work to do, though, I think.
Well, Jimmy Rutherford. Welcome to Canada, Jimmy.
Well, I think Jimmy stepped aside. Isn't there another guy now? Elaine
He
or
stepped in.
Elaine?
What?
Jimmy's the president. Jim's the president, and
Oh, he's the. Oh, I didn't even know that.
Patrick Alvin is the
Yeah.
is the general manager. So I mean, I think
Oh, I
think
didn't
the
see that.
final, I think the final say still goes through Rutherford.
I would assume
Right.
he still probably has some say in it for sure.
Yeah.
But I think the day to day, I think is Alvin's got the call, and
Oh,
you know, and he's essentially
85
assembled
years
a
old,
young
for Christ's
group and bringing on Cami Granato and Emily Castonguay, and so now you've kind of got a whole bunch of. Basically, you got a great mentor, right? Like I'll say this, like I'm a Jim Rutherford fan in terms of what that guy's done over the course of his career, right? Like that guy's pretty fearless. 3 Stanley Cups. I think got you one, right, Commie?
Yeah, he makes great trades. I'll tell you that.
He's not afraid to make moves.
Great trades.
Teddy, our producer wants us to ask you before you go. Tampa, Toronto, round 1. Who's surviving that?
Oh, I'm going my boys.
Yeah.
Shit on Mr. Vinnick. He just flew me and my wife first class to Tampa. I'm all in on the boat.
Good answer, Teddy.
I'm going to wear my jersey the whole round, too. I got some good buddies on Toronto, but I just think Canada's going to go nuts if Tampa lose. It's going to be hilarious. I want to see that happen. Or if Toronto lose. I'm going Tampa.
Toronto loses, yeah.
Yeah.
Taking Toronto.
I'm going Tampa.
Commie, I'll let you bring it home with your buddy here.
Well, thanks, Teddy. I really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on and sharing some stories. I'm really looking forward to getting out to LA. Set some golf up, for Christ's sakes, too. I'm getting messages. I told them you're in charge.
Okay. All right. I'm on it.
But thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. It was last second.
Great stories.
And
man. Awesome.
yeah, great stories. And I'll see you next week.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for having me. Go BODOG. We're going to put some money
Make
on
sure my
UConn-
sheet is
UConn
clean.
tonight?
Yeah, you got
I took
Huskies
San Diego.
for sure.
I took San Diego, but
No,
Oh, you
Huskies.
like
What's
to
the
do that?
spread?
for the long shot.
I don't know. I think it's 7 or
but
7.5.
Yeah, that UConn looks pretty good.
Mhm.
I'll get the cleaners in and come make sure your bed's nice and cozy down there.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you. Turn down service. Thank you.
All right.
There he is.
Savage. Thanks for coming, buddy.
Thank you.
There he is, Teddy Purcell, joining us here on the Clearing the Crease podcast, powered by BODOG. The Clearing the Crease podcast, powered by BODOG.net, continues. Hey, just a reminder, everybody, get in on all the action on the road to the Stanley Cup. BODOG has you covered for all the props, game lines, futures from now until the Stanley Cup final and beyond. Make your power play score big with BODOG. Check out the @BODOG.CA Twitter page for details on how you can get up to $500 of free cash to play with now. And Curtis, the crazy Leaf fan from Alberta, we welcome him back here to the Clearing the Crease podcast. And Curtis, man, we have been talking a lot over this episode about the Leafs' chances against the Tampa Bay Lightning. How are you? First off, man, how you keeping?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. You amped up? Like, are you amped up for playoff season, or are you more stressed? Like, is this an exciting time, or is this a nervous time as a Leaf fan?
That's a great question right there.
You've never heard this before, but this is our year. Yes, sir.
Oh, boy. Okay. He's excited.
Who's goalie for game 1 for the Toronto Maple Leafs? Who's your starter?
Samsonov, hands down. He's been more dependable. He's the guy.
Does he have any gear? I heard you just bought all of it.
Yeah. I'll show you here. What do we got here? We got him right
What
there.
do we get here?
There he is.
Just
Oh.
wait till-
Samsonov needs new
You
gear.
got the whole gear.
Oh yeah, that's
Wow.
everything. Even his water bottle.
That literally is that. I know the helmet, his mask is coming. So everything but the mask is there right now.
No, it's in the mail. It'll be here tomorrow. Just
Okay,
hoping-
yeah, but it's gonna be there.
Oh
Curtis,
yeah,
where do you order a mannequin?
online, and I gotta tell you, the wife was freaked right out because this one's bendable, right? Ordering mannequins is one thing, but when the posable mannequins start showing up,
Yeah, I would think that would be a natural reaction for a spouse when your significant other orders a mannequin.
a bendable, posable mannequin. Yes, sir.
It's a dual threat.
That's funny.
So, Commie, do you want to tee this up? What we were just talking about with Teddy about this first round matchup. We know it's set now, right?
Yeah, we know it's set. Is home ice? It's still up in the air, kind of, right? The Leafs kind of in the first round, right?
Yeah, we got him by points.
Got them by
right now.
4 with like what 5 or 6 games left ish,
Correct. Yeah.
around there. So probably locked up. Yeah, we just talked to Teddy about it. Teddy Purcell, remember him?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we asked Teddy what he thought, and he's going with his Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm still on the fence right now. Yeah, give me a few reasons why I should be going over to Leafland.
Oh, buddy, the boys have grown up. Like Matthews, Marner, those guys. Matthews has hit a different level of his game this year. He didn't put up a lot of goals, but he's been playing good defensively. He's been more of a well-rounded player. Marner's hit a new level. We've got stable goaltending. I'm not scared of the Bolts at all. Not even a little bit. I'm scared of the refs. You talk about being nervous. The only thing I'm scared of is the refs. That is the only thing that I'm scared of about the first round.
Okay. Those refs you can't control, though. That's a tough one.
Razor, why don't you share your scouting report on Matty Nyes there?
Oh yeah, Matty Nyes. You watching Frozen 4? Matty Nyes, Minnesota. I'm curious to see if he steps right into the roster. I watched him last week. He looked very good for the Gophers. He's got a great chance to win the championship this weekend. And he brings a little bit of jam to his game and playing the college guys. He's on the best line in college hockey. So I think there might be room for this guy. He's like the Mike Johnson, the Jeff Farkas, of the world back in the late 90s, early 2000s, where these Leafs guys came in. Who was what's the you got it, that he OHL player, Seaball, Owen Sound Platers.
Oh my God!
Played for the Leafs.
He came up for the Adam Mayer. Adam Mayer,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Mersey.
Yeah.
Adam Mayer came into the playoffs, had a run. I think this guy could be that guy.
And you almost say, I almost believe you sit Bunting. I know that's not going to be popular. Yeah. He's going to hurt us in the first round. He's going to take a bad penalty, because the refs hate him, and it's going to burn us, right? Like, he's going to be more of a liability than good for us, in my opinion. And I know everybody loves Scarborough, but he's going to be a risk for us.
We haven't talked to you since. What do you think of those trades they made? And how have those panned out so far, in your opinion?
Well, what do you mean, the 3 games Ryan O'Reilly played for us?
They were good.
Take out Ryan. Good. I did love that trade, picking him up for the record. But yeah, I mean, other than that one, the guys that have played.
It's I didn't like the Sandin trade. I'm a big fan of Sandin. I think he's hanging in the background there.
Yeah, I can see him right there. Yep.
Yeah, Gustafsson is okay. McCabe, great pickup. Shen, bring home the Luke Shen, great pickup. Ryan O'Reilly is amazing. Lafferty's he's one of those guys that if Knees comes in or Nyes, he's gonna be the guy that goes out, I think. But I'm excited. We're in for a hell of a ride. And I gotta tell you, when the Leafs do win this playoff series, BODOG won't like it, but I'm gonna drink like 8 beer at the same time. I'm telling you, 8. I'm gonna figure out a way to do it. And it's going to be a glorious celebration, the greatest in sports history.
All right.
So finish this sentence in closing here for us, Curtis. Had 55-year-old Curtis Joseph had dressed and went between the pipes as an e-bug the other night, Curtis would have...
I would have slapped on my helmet and danced around the basement for an hour. Like, big fan of Joseph. I have his mask over there. I'm a huge fan of his.
I figured you had something at Cujo, so I thought you'd appreciate that. Hey, listen, great to catch up with you, man. Nice to see you again. Thanks for doing this with us. And, business is about to pick up here in about a week or two, and I'm looking forward to it. We'll find out if this is the year.
Sure. And Raycroft, do I have to update my address? I don't know if it's a postal code thing.
It's there. It's with the mask. It's with Samson's mask. We'll find one. We gotta find one. I gotta find one somehow.
You told me that 8 months ago. You said
I still haven't found one.
He's been busy.
I don't have anything. I don't have any paraphernalia in this house. So I got to get back to Canada. I'll dig into my parents' bedroom.
I'll start looking for one.
Yeah, there you go. Commie will find some way before
I'll look something online.
Curtis from Alberta. Leafs fan extraordinaire joining us here this week on the Clearing the Crease podcast powered by BODOG.net. All right, time for this week's Clearing the Crease podcast question from our loyal fans. We appreciate this. And just a reminder that, hey, all you got to do is reply to this video wherever you're watching it on at BODOG.CA or on the BODOG YouTube or Instagram with a question for Commie, for Razor, or yours truly, Seaball. And if we pick your question, you're going to get yourself a free NHL jersey courtesy of BODOG. This week's winner, Rohan from Hamilton, the Hammer, Steel City, baby. He's wondering, gentlemen, did you guys ever have a curfew in the NHL? And if so, did you ever break it? And how hard was it not to get caught? Love the show, and congrats on finally being on Spotify. Yes, we are finally available to listen in podcast form for just straight audio. So when you're walking your dog or you're getting chores done, you can now just listen and keep it simple that way. Love it. And more opportunities to catch the show coming your way. All right, guys, here we go. Curfews. Did you guys have one? Did you break it? And how hard was it not to get caught? Commie?
Yes. To answer the question, I think from what I recall, most places had one of some kind. You kind of knew it depended on how like enforceable really that kind of depended. Yeah, there's a curfew, but a lot of times they didn't really check or whatever. That kind of depended on the coach. Yes, but I definitely had a curfew. The one I remember the most is the one the first time I was traded. I got traded because I broke curfew, if I'm being completely honest. That was in New Jersey. Lou Lamoriello does like his curfews. And long story short, I wasn't playing anymore when we fired Larry Robinson my second year. I went from playing like 18 minutes, thought I was the man-ish. I was starting to finally play a few games in a row. And then anyways, new coach, Kevin Constantine, all of a sudden I went from playing to directly into the press box. To this day, I've still never said a word to Kevin Constantine. He never said hi. He never said anything, blah, blah, blah. I had no idea what was going on. I was young, and I will be the first to admit that I should have handled this differently. But at the time, I had to make weight every day. And my weight, they always would drop it just to try and Lou keeping me uncomfortable. I didn't know anything about nutrition, but I knew one way to show up light in the mornings was to get in one at night and don't eat any food and don't drink too much water. So that's what I would do is I would go out at night, have a bunch of beers or whatever, drinks, not beers, vodkas, and then come back. I would feel like death, but I would make weight. They'd all be fired up. I'd go on the ice for practice. I'd be totally horse shit, but nobody seemed to care. But anyways, I got into this habit for like a month, probably 3 weeks, where we go out on the road. I knew I wasn't playing. Nobody was talking to me, so I would just go out. Our curfew was at midnight. And the one time I did get busted, my philosophy was if you're going to break curfew, like if the curfew is midnight, you don't show up at 12:15. You show up at like 3 a.m. So that was what I was doing. So we were in Atlanta. I go to Buckhead County. I get after it. We got a game the next day, but I'm not playing. I come back to the Ritz-Carlton downtown Atlanta. I think it was about 4 a.m, somewhere around there. I walk in and I had my eyes on a sweat. I'm trying to look casual about this. But, I got a suit on. It's what we had to wear on the road back then. My hair was a little bit longer, but not too bad. And the only person I saw walking in, there was nobody else in the lobby, was the bellboy. I got in the room upstairs, very quiet. My roommate was Jay Pandolfo. Went to bed. Same next day, business as usual. Go watch the game. Get back to Jersey the following day. Trainer comes, hey, Lou wants to see you in the office. I'm like, oh, shit. And Lou Lamoriello, I know he's 5'2", but he is very intimidating. So Lou, apparently what had happened was Lou flew in on a plane, or I don't know what the hell was going on, but he showed up at the hotel at like 5 or 6 a.m, just after I had gotten back. He walked into the hotel and he asked the bellboy, hey, see anybody come in here lately? Bellboy's like, yeah, some tall guy in a suit with red hair. I'm like, well, so the bellboy fucked me. So anyways, Lou, we had a meeting. It was very uncomfortable. I just decided the best policy was honesty. And I literally told him exactly what you said, except I also tacked on the end because he's like, who were you with? I'm like, I swear to God, I was by myself. Jay Pandolfo was with you. He's your roommate. I go, Jay was in bed. I go, Lou, it was just me. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you out? I'm like, Lou, I don't know what else to say other than this. I have a couple cocktails. I'm trying to make weight. Maybe it's not the right way to do it, but after I have a couple cocktails, I like to try and chase girls. And I just said that. And then I just looked them dead in the eyes for as long as I could. It was like the longest. It was probably like 10 seconds, maybe, but it felt like 2 minutes. I just stared at him and he was going to send me home, like home. But he looked at me. He goes, you know what? I'm sending you to Albany. Get out of my office. I'm like, okay. And thank God. And then I got traded that summer. See you later. So yeah, there are curfews, and try not to break them.
There you go.
Or
Razor,
don't get caught.
Can you one up that, or did you behave?
Oh, I'm not even going near it. No, the only thing I was going to say, the curfews, you only remember the curfews when they're really instilled. And it's a Commie's point, like, when you're not supposed to go out. Like, there's some nights when you're losing, there's nights where it's like, no, this is a real curfew. Other than that, it's pretty fluid. Don't get caught by the bellman. Find the back door in the lobbies. Find, if you're gonna do, and also, like Commie said, if you're gonna break it. Don't come in 12:10 because there's probably someone sitting in the lobby at 12 o'clock. You got to come in real late and beat the crowd.
Yeah.
There was I remember covering the 07 Cup final with Ottawa and Anaheim.
Those guys all broke the car.
I was just gonna say that the Sens were down 3-1. We were staying at a hotel in the West End. My camera guy and I, we were getting ready the series was shifting back to Anaheim. We were shipping out to drive back to Toronto. And I remember as we were packing up the van to get ready to leave, there were a couple of, because it was the TSN van, so it was all kind of decked out with signage on the side of the vehicle. Like there were a couple of players that, like, we're talking 6:30 in the morning, guys who had been out all night in the middle of the Cup final.
Oh, Jesus.
And I mean, I don't know. I like, look, I mean, kind of like, man, grow up a little at this, I'm kind of laughing off, but like, I mean, I'm certainly not one to cast stones, but at least in that particular instance, but like my camera guy was from Ottawa. He was so appalled. He was so annoyed. Like, guys, you've quit. They
don't get it.
If you're out till 6 o'clock in the morning, you've quit on it. Yeah. They were trying
For the
to
record, I
hide
never
cars.
did that.
Commie, they were like trying to hide behind cars from my camera guy at the time.
Oh, that's
Come
good.
on.
Trying to tiptoe.
Man.
Yeah. Not 07. Like here we are in the middle of June in the 07 Cup.
Yeah,
they went quietly.
The
they went quietly
calls.
in Game 5. Yeah, the market called. Yeah, it's the West End we were staying at. There's nothing out there, honestly. That's all we got. We're out of here, and the next time we do this, we'll be talking Stanley Cup playoffs. Enough of the talk. It is time to play the games. He is Andrew Raycroft. He is Mike Commodore. My name is James Cybulski. Don't forget, you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Instagram as well. And we look forward to catching up with you again next time on the Clearing the Crease podcast powered by BODOG.net. Peace.